What do you think about the name?
I think I hate it, but maybe it's growing on me.
Welcome to the Vibe Flow with Jordan and Will. Let's go. Tech news and AI trends. Tune in now with your friends.
What's up, Willie?
Hey, Jordy, how you doing?
I'm doing lovely. It's ugly as hell out here in San Francisco, but I'm doing lovely. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. The
Why?
AI bubble has not popped. It's still going. We're recording this shortly after NVIDIA's Q3 earnings report, and they crushed it again. So
Ripping?
We're ripping. NVIDIA's ripping.
Lovely.
AI is still ripping. So we'll take the win.
All right. Let's go NVIDIA. Make us some chips. Well, sweet. That's a great start. It's a good, nice upper to keep going on these uppers of stories. We have big Google day. Google's dropped a bunch of stuff. Gemini 3, Antigravity, Notebook LM has dropped a couple cool things. Going into Hero, the company Hero has dropped a really interesting autocomplete SDK I'd like to get into. And then we'll stop the show with a little European cookie removal, if you will. So we'll get into it. So let's pop into Google. Gemini 3 has launched. And we always talk about new models launching. And I was saying last time it was kind of getting boring, right? Because new models, whatever. This one has a lot of competitors freaking out. This one, the whispers are, it's really good. It's a big, big leap. I have started playing with it. It is brand new. We have not actually experimented with any of our internal products, switching over to it, using our evals and actually testing against it. But we will start that this week. But it is supposed to be very, very good at a lot of things. What have you heard? What have you used? What do you got?
Yes, I think on benchmarks, and we talk about how those are kind of a proxy for how good they are, but sometimes the vibes are just off. So the benchmarks, they're obviously excelling at a lot of them. They're saturating a lot, so they're hitting like 100 or 99 in some of the benchmarks. But yeah, it's meant to be faster than a lot of models. Occasionally post the poly market of what model is going to be best by the end of the end of the year. It's currently saying that Google is 91% chance of having the best model by the end of the year. So certainly no one's expecting anything else to come out after this that's going to be more powerful.
Wasn't it higher before? Wasn't it like 99% last time we talked about the poly markets?
Do we think there's a challenger that's going to be coming anytime soon? I think the new Grok model is slated for early next year, which I know that Elon is pumping and hyping. We got 5.1 that we spoke about last week. That's clearly didn't even really register on the poly market, honestly. People were expecting that Gemini 3 was going to come out. I think OpenAI is sitting at 2% chance. XAI is at a 4%. So that's, I think, talking to the next Grok is meant to be really good, but I don't think it's got any real chance of being released in the next.
What was OpenAI? 2%. That's insane. I don't know. I might put a bet. I might put a bet on that one. Maybe.
But what are the GPT 5.2?
Maybe. Who knows? I will say I was looking at what's vastly different, what's vastly better, like anything that I could show. And they do talk a lot about how it generates interfaces better. So like if you're using the Gemini app, which is the same as like a ChatGPT app, it's able to represent its data and its findings in a much more like interactive way. Like it'll just custom build interfaces that it thinks will help you consume this content faster. I could not get it to do it. So I don't have a demo of it. It was just giving me, I was like, maybe just make it interactive. And then it was like, cool, choose your own adventure situation, but it was just in text. I was like, come on, that's not what I meant. So it wasn't nailing it, but there's also a chance maybe I'm not using Gemini 3 in my Gemini app. I can't actually tell. So I don't really know. Very a little confused on that, but excited.
They made a conscious decision to kind of hide it. They have in their toggle, they have like thinking and like fast or whatever. They don't actually show it's 3. I think that was the approach that Sam and OpenAI were trying to do right when they launched 5, and then they had to walk it back and then show a bit more of what they're doing. Google, decided that they want to wrap it. I think right now, I think like Nano Banana, for instance, is still Gemini 2.5 image. So maybe it is at that first level is kind of like an orchestration. And so like it might not actually be a 3 or 3 Pro that you're hitting like immediately every single time. It might actually be calling different models. So that might be why it's doing that in the app.
Well, regardless, I'm excited to play with it. I'm excited to see the increased potential. And with that, there is Google's Antigravity. What is Antigravity? It is a direct Cursor competitor. All of the big AI labs are coming out with them. Cursor is not an AI lab, but they are the top-notch, probably the most ubiquitous IDE for AI coding. And they did actually come out with their own model recently. I think we talked about last week. But anyway, I digress. Gravity, let's see it. Will, it sounds like you also have done some mild experimentation with it. I played
with it.
Okay.
First off, what do you think about the name?
I think I hate it, but I'm not. Maybe it's growing on me. Like I get it, but I just don't know if I'm into it. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think I even get it.
I feel like they're so bad at naming. Like in like 2 weeks, they're going to be like, oh, it's actually not Antigravity anymore. Now it's like Google. It's just like Google IDE. They always just like go crazy with names. It's so annoying. But they do on the video here, like they actually show some pretty interesting stuff. Let me see if I can let's see. So one of the really interesting things is this. So being able to actually like plug in and see the browser, like the IDE is actually able to see the browser. So it's able to understand what it is and is not doing right. As opposed to some of the other IDEs where you kind of have to like copy and paste or screenshot what it looks like in the browser and let it know. So this has like the continuous feedback. It's all kind of built in. Super cool.
And that's probably because they own the browser, right? So now like OpenAI has a browser with Atlas. And so like maybe when OpenAI does more of this sort of automated code, they could use Atlas. But I think that Google has that deep intertwinedness with Chrome. But yeah, I saw that. It was super cool. It took like a video of how it was like acting for me. And it put it in the implementation plan. Yeah, it's super cool how they does things like that today.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This is actually what it looks like. So whether you care or not, it's definitely a fork of VS Code, which everything else is. So is Cursor. And if it's not, I'm sorry. I just assume it is because it looks identical.
It is.
Okay. So it's a little different. Like I think it's a little simpler. They've definitely gone like on the little simpler path, but you have your typical chat thing here. This is cool. Kind of shows you, this is just kind of showing you like the plan that it made, giving me kind of like a guide of what I should do. You know, your terminal, pretty basic stuff. I mean, I guess it's what I expected. What did I produce? Okay. So I asked it, make me a web app. I basically wanted it to like have an EDM song, and I wanted to be able to place my friends like saying a word or something in the drop. It's kind of an inside joke from our all hands earlier today. Someone tried to do this and I was like, maybe I could just do it in Antigravity. So this is what it produced for me in a absolute single shot, which boom, drop protocol, baby. Look at this. It doesn't work, but it's really close.
It looks pretty sick.
So it's doing a bunch of stuff. It's just kind of like not loading the track. It looks cool. I did iterate a little bit with it to try to get it to work. I spent like 2 minutes on it, so I can't say that it's bad. I was impressed. I asked it to do some like crazy stuff that I don't expect it to like do on the first try, like pull in YouTube tracks, allow me to like splice YouTube tracks, mix them around, detect where the drop is. I mean, like all this crazy stuff that who knows if it'll actually work. But I asked it to do advanced stuff, so. It's cool. What do you got?
It's good. Yeah. Mine also didn't work. I started off with a fairly standard to-do list app, but there I wanted it to be speech to text, and I wanted it to like auto make new like notes every day and to like bullet out everything. And my idea was it's the shower thoughts app, because I'm always in the shower when I have my brilliant ideas, and then I get out and I forget what they are before I've written them down. So I was like, if I had a speech to text app, this would be great. And it built it, and it did a good job. It actually completed that, and it thought about which model to bring in for the speech to text. It did all that pretty seamlessly.
Which model?
Ooh, it's a good question.
Is it biased?
I don't even know.
Is it biased? Is it a Google model?
It's probably a Google model.
Yeah.
And then I tried to have it build a Minesweeper app, the original game, Minesweeper. It did a good job. It had like dark mode, light mode, different like intermediate, advanced. But then it wouldn't actually work. So then I played it and it was working, and then it wouldn't actually like complete the game. Like you couldn't win. So I need to go back and forth a little bit on that. What I found though, from my feedback, when I first did the first app, and I set it to, you can set like the level of agentic you want it to be. So I was like, set it to like maximum, just like
same.
Finish this thing. And halfway through, I like checked back in on the app, and it had told me I'd been over my like usage limits, and I was like literally 50% into one first like test. So I don't know what's there. I'm a pro member, so I don't know why it decided that it used up all my tokens. I thought that was super dumb. So I had to like reduce it down from high to something else to get it to complete. And then the second time in the Minesweeper one, it just kept kind of like stopping. It's saying like thinking, or it's saying something, but it's like 30 minutes still saying it. And so it's clearly like broken on me, and I have no idea how you like have it continue. So I'm like chatting with it, like, what's happening? And it's not like giving me any feedback. So a little rough around the edges. It is a VS fork.
They're having a Union 15, Will. Let them be. Give them a little break.
What's interesting is this, we covered this extensively in the summer, but the founders, you'll remember, of Windsurf, who built an IDE, they got acquired or acqui-hired by OpenAI for like a few $1 billion. They moved, sorry, not OpenAI, Google. So they moved over to Google, they cashed out massively, and then eventually actually Windsurf got acquired by Cognition and Devon. So Devon built an IDE. They launched that, I think, a month ago now. And so we were waiting for, like, what are the Windsurf founders going to do within Google? This appears to be it. Some people are speculating that they might have stolen some code. There's some, like, screenshots where people are looking in the console logs and seeing Windsurf still in there. So, like, they haven't fully, like, removed all the references to Windsurf. So I'm not the one rumor milling, but I've seen that on the internet. But yeah, I guess this is what they acquired them to build. It makes sense. You want an IDE. Is this the best version? I think probably no is the answer right now, but I'm sure they'll be spending a lot more resource on getting it more polished and out there. The important question is, like, will you be changing your workflow habits to incorporate anti-gravity? Are you going to stick with Cursor? Where are you at, Jordan?
Okay, first question. Am I getting confused on, did Google buy Windsurf with a non-exclusive license? Was that deal?
They acquired the IP through a license.
And they can do whatever they want, so they can take the code. So it's
true.
not
So maybe
stealing
they're
the
fine
code,
to have
right?
the Windsurf name in there. Yeah.
That's what I remember. Sorry, I was just making sure I got that right. Okay, I'm in an interesting position with what I'm using for my day-to-day. I'm obviously not like a hardcore IC, but I do a lot of research and I do a lot of experiments. Because of that, it kind of allows me to also experiment with all of the IDEs, all of the tools available. So I am currently using 3. I am using primarily Claude Code. I am experimenting with Codex CLI, and I can tell you what I find it better at and what I find it worse at. And I'm using Cursor as technically Cursor is my IDE because Claude, Code, and Codex are just CLI tools. I believe maybe they both have their own IDs now. I can't remember, but most people just use them for their CLIs. That's just like being able to use them inside your own terminal. So I use Cursor when I need to have like a full IDE and I want to do like a lot more interactive stuff. I find myself using it less and less. I find myself using Claude Code a lot more. I tried Codex. They came out with their newer version relatively recently, and also they just launched 5.1 today. Yeah, so I wanted to try it. It actually was really good at very complex, long problems. So I actually went apples to apples with Codex and Claude on a problem that requires some creativity and some out-of-the-box thinking. And Codex actually did a really good job of coming up with something I had not thought of and was not obvious and was actually it was very well done. After it implemented it, it had a lot of trouble getting it over the hump. So it was able to get 90% and it had really interesting ideas. It was very intelligent, but it couldn't actually complete it. I went back to Claude Code and it completed it immediately for me. So it was like, I needed like a principal architectural engineer to like make the idea for me in Codex. And then I needed some real hardcore ICs to get it over the line using Claude Code. That was like my team there. And then I just looked at all the code and used the IDE of Cursor for everything. So anyway, I'm still using the 3. I am just super interested to see.
And you are the orchestrator at that point.
I'm the
orchestrator. So you're making sure you know which of these is suitable for the task and then pulling it all together.
Yes. Honestly, in a year, they're all going to be so good that you will just probably need one. And I can't imagine one will be that much better than the other. Once you can just ask it to do something and it just does it really well and it's done, what else do you want? That's what you want. So it's close. It's very close. I find myself doing less and less orchestration, less and less like tweaking. It also, all these MCP servers are hooked up, so it has so much context all the time that it can just do its own loops. I don't have to do a lot of like screenshotting or copy and pasting. So it's getting crazy, very exciting, but the world's
Can you
crazy.
get Gemini 3 in Cursor? You can, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I believe.
So is like, I guess, what does that mean for the frontier? So if you have the state-of-the-art models being used in any of these IDEs, what's really like the selling point as to why you would use one IDE over the other? Because is it not the fundamental model behind it that's actually powering all of the work that you're trying to do in code?
Before, like a month ago, Cursor didn't have their own model and they were just using Claude, right? And actually, we found that, so Cursor was the best for a long time. Then Claude CLI came along. They're using the exact same model that Cursor is using, right? Because they own the model. It's the same model. As far as we know, they're not using anything better. But they have devised a better orchestration system. So their tooling is different. Their prompting is different. The way that they control the models and the way that they have the models interact with your code base, make the tooling available to the code base, all of that is their own proprietary stuff. It has nothing to do with the model, right? So as far as I know, they've just mastered a better orchestration product, Claude Code, than Cursor has, even though they're using the same underlying model. So yes, you can have different IDEs use the same model and one can be better than the other. Absolutely. So you have to have the best model and you have to have the best orchestration of that model.
And then also the tool usage, the interactivity. So maybe Google's ownership over Chrome is actually a sick feature. Because I think what we've seen as well in the past is like browser usage is actually quite difficult for these models today. And so if they own a bit more of that stack, you could theoretically assume that they're going to get a bit better at that. And I think they're showing like the V1 of that is being able to do some sort of QA engineer style testing of the app in Chrome for you, and then take videos, take screenshots. But in the future, it could be much more extensive, right? And so that's definitely an agentic experience you need moving forwards. I'm sure everyone's really working like how do they do this well?
Well, I won't discredit Google for like not having the ability to probably do that better than anyone else, but Chrome is on a Chromium open source, and so all the IDEs, all of the coding agents do have the ability to interact with the browser, maybe the exact same as Google can, but Google does have just such a power play on the browser. So they can probably do it better, or at least optically you think they can probably do it better. So maybe you would go to them. Okay, awesome. Switching topics here. This one's really interesting. Will, I think maybe you brought this up to me last week, or I brought it up to you last week, but there's this company called Hero, which is an app. I actually didn't even realize they were like a company that had a real app, but they came up with an SDK, an open source SDK that is kind of like rethinking how users interact with the chat within like a chatbot. So I do have a small, I'm not going to say a demo, but let me go to their website so you can see what I mean. So they have this example, you're booking a flight. So basically, as you are typing in, you say book a flight, instead of you having to type everything else out, it does start to infer what you want to do and give you just a superpower UI for it. So one thing I can relate to this all the time. I'm always like, flight from NYC to SFO. You know you're going to eventually have to fill in the blanks. When are you going? Where are you going? Do you want nonstop? How much do you want to pay? Like all these things are like coming down the line in this conversation. So this is predicting it for some of these straightforward flows and allowing you to kind of put these UIs in place. Super, super elegant. I think they did a fantastic job. They have this product, which is like a daily assistant. I have no idea if this is like popular. I've never heard of it. But they probably had this design and they're like, wait, this design is way cooler than the app itself. Let's like just use this design and just blast it out. And maybe this is, I don't know if this is open source. I think it is. So maybe this is going to like be like lead gen for their product, or maybe they're just going to pivot their product and just become like this. Maybe you have to pay for this. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like the Slack was built as an internal tool for talking within a computer game company. Became the main company. So maybe they've scratched the surface on a hard enough pain point that everyone who's developing text prompt style front ends, and so it made sense they release it as an SDK. We'll see how much usage it gets and how it obviously makes complete sense for this use case, this exact use case. And I think this is also the one that they thought it was really cool for. Is like, well, what if you have a really small screen like in AR where you actually can't have as much screen space? So if you think of Google Flights, where you need a couple pick lists, a couple drop downs, that's really, really clunky for something like AR headset. And so this whole idea is like, actually, you could do this really simply. Maybe there's hand gesture that goes with it, but like that's a really, really cool idea. So I don't know how far it's like extendable to many types of form filling out or autocomplete. The use cases that they're sharing, I think, make so much sense. And so I think a lot of people will be following it. There's going to be a fast follow here. I don't know how much tech they actually have behind it. Like, is it difficult to do this? Because I think what's interesting is we're still in a place in AI where we're trying to find the right form factor for interacting. Today, it is very much the text box, right? You actually go on like OpenAI's website today. It actually has a big text box on there, and it's not directing you necessarily to ChatGPT. It's like, ask me about this website. And so text is kind of fundamentally slow though. So like, is that the right UI for interacting with AI? I don't know, but certainly it's like the early winner. And so it makes sense that now we can develop that a bit further with autocomplete. I think is super cool. The coders have had it for ages in their IDEs, right? And so it stands to reason you can add it for the every person in chat. What do you think? Do you think this is like, this is the Slack to their computer game company, or?
Yeah, I mean, this caught my attention. Their app did not catch my attention. I think it's one of the more innovative UI approaches to in the AI era the last couple of years I've seen. So I'm pretty optimistic about it. I don't know if they're going to be the ones to do it. I also don't know where it's going to go. I think it's really interesting that they did use the AR example. I didn't even think about that, but like where exactly are we headed with interfaces? I think a lot of people are speculating it's going to be audio or some sort of like sensory thing. I don't know. So is it going to be AR in your glasses? If so, then we are going to have to start designing these things. I mean, this is a very classic choose your own adventure style like UI. So it is autocomplete, but at the end of the day, all you're doing is it's a graph, right? It's a branching graph. So you just like choose your thing here. Great. Now you go to this one. And every time you have a couple more options, it's predicting those, it's pulling them down, it's inferring what you're going to do next.
I think when you have a multi-option pick like this, I'm thinking like DoorDash or Uber Eats, right, as well. Like you kind of know, or like the Starbucks app, you kind of know what you want to order. Is like the old school way of like viewing through that list and then clicking next actually the right way? I actually think this could be a more interesting way to order your coffee in the morning than maybe what's already out there. Yeah.
I mean, I still am shocked when I order coffee on an app, the same coffee from the same place every day. Why can't I click one button? Like what? Like even
reorder in certain apps. Pete's has a reorder button.
Yeah, but it's not that good. Even the reordering is like, you ordered this last time, so I'll click it, and then I still have to click like 6 more buttons to order it. I'm like, just can I go in? Yeah. You do like a retina scan. You already have my credit card on file. Just give me my coffee and let me get out of there. That's all I want. I'm pivoting the company. That's what we're doing.
You could vibe code a little agent for your coffee order every morning.
All right, to wrap us up here, Will, we do have a landmark privacy and law scaling back in Europe. Are you excited?
Thank God.
Well, you do live in California, so
If you've ever been to, well, California is getting as kind of bad now with the CCPA. But certainly, yeah, the GDPR was a massive piece of law really aimed at helping protect consumers on the internet. The result of this was you basically, as a website or a web app, you weren't able to collect absolutely anything on a customer until they agreed explicitly, they opted in to being tracked, to your cookies, to anything else. And so what this led to was just you couldn't visit any website. You had to go via this like gateway of pop-ups, but they weren't like small pop-ups that kind of come out the bottom that says, by the way, we collect your cookies. It's basically 90% of the page is this huge cookie pop-up. And yeah, it was an absolute mess. And so I'm glad they're scaling it back. They realized actually this was probably a hindrance to consumers. I remember years ago now, after the GDPR had been around for like a year, someone calculated like how much time everyone's pressed on that, and like collectively like thousands of people's lives have been lost to clicking on cookie banners. California, we have the same thing, right? We have it. In America, it's actually more of a mess because it's a state's issue. And so there's probably like 12 or 13 different states that have currently adopted a GDPR style approach. California is one of them that's like more extensive. But you can imagine if you end up with 50 versions of this. So I'm glad if they saw the EU as the guiding star on the hill for what to do, now they're walking it back. Maybe that's going to be hopeful that California and other states will see errors in their ways and maybe make it less crazy, because you can't navigate anything.
Did GDPR was first, right? Like we followed Europe, so California came after.
That was the big one, because they
Yeah.
have the same like member block of equivalent of like 50 states, right? And so it made sense you didn't want one for every single country, but it was just so egregious with like how much it was trying to be pro-consumer, and by that it ended up killing lives of consumers. So
Yeah.
we
I
like
don't-
to see it walk back.
Do you think anybody says no? I mean, or like I don't know, just it's so annoying. Every time I go to a website, you have to click like 3 things to start reading.
So annoying. And then you add like an ad blocker, and then the ad blocker gets recognized now, and it's like, oh, by the way, and there's another pop-up. You have like 3 or 4 layers of pop-ups. I hate it.
Will, our lives, man, we just live such a rough life. We have to click so many buttons to read the news these days. It's wild.
Yeah, we're slowly dying here,
Yeah.
clicking pop-ups and cookie banners. So
Yeah. Well,
less of them, please.
at least we're not in an AI bubble, as
least we're not.
we announced at the beginning, and that is how I'll wrap it up. I will say life is good. Let's click a couple buttons, but at the same time, let's go NVIDIA.
NVIDIA, a 4.5 trillion market cap or whatever they have there. After hours, they've added like 200 or 300 billion more market cap.
Oh, good.
In this news. So I think it's like probably the largest one-day move ever by a public company. Just the sheer mass of how big this company is. It's truly remarkable. It's definitely showing no signs of slowing down. So AI doomers and the negative narrative around recessions, we haven't found it yet. We haven't seen it yet. So let's keep buying chips, everyone.
Keep moving upwards. Move upwards. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for dropping in. Thanks, Will. Subscribe, like, do all the things, smash some stuff, and let's go. See you next week.
Thanks, Jordan.
See ya.